Kopa Trophy. The award is supposed to be about the future, the under-21 player who's already making the present look unfair. And right now, it's a two-horse race that feels more like a heavyweight title fight between two teenagers who don't know the meaning of stage fright. Yamal turned 17 and immediately started running Barcelona's attack like he owned the keys. 18 goals, 25 assists, and a domestic treble in Spain. Week after week, La Liga defenders were stuck in the same loop. See Yamal on the wing, try to close him down, then watch him cut in and either score or tee someone else up. It was production at a level players twice his age struggle to match. But then there's Désiré Doué. PSG's midfield prodigy walked into the Champions League final and scored twice. Not just any final, the club's first ever. That's the kind of moment most players dream about for years, and he pulled it off before even hitting 20. On a team stacked with stars, Doué still found a way to own the spotlight on the biggest stage of the season. Dean Huijsen and Miles Lewis-Skelly didn't quite crash the top two conversation, but they made enough noise to keep their names in the mix. Huijsen's season was a whirlwind, starting at Bournemouth, holding his own in the Premier League, then earning a move to Real Madrid. Big frame, calm on the ball, and already looking like a defender who's been playing Champions League football for years. Lewis-Skelly's rise at Arsenal was more of a slow burn, but when he broke into the senior side, he brought energy every time he touched the ball. Driving runs through midfield, fearless challenges, and the kind of composure that makes you forget he's only 18. They're still polishing the edges, but both showed enough to hint that a future Kopa Trophy run isn't out of the question. Nev, Boadi, Kubasi, all talented, all impressive. But this comes down to Yamal's season-long dominance versus Doué's knockout punch on the grandest night. And over a full campaign, Yamal's consistency wins the belt. Doué might have delivered the single most jaw-dropping performance, but Yamal delivered the whole album, and that's what lands you the trophy. Yashin Trophy. Some keepers play like they're waiting for something to happen. Gianluigi Donnarumma spent this season making sure nothing did. PSG's first ever Champions League win was not only around Dembele's goals or Hakimi's overlaps, it was about a 6'5" wall and gloves who refused to give anyone a free shot at history. He bullied crosses out of the air, slapped away top corner screamers, and in the final, carried himself like the outcome was never in doubt. Alisson Becker, though, didn't exactly spend the year sitting quietly in Liverpool's goal. He turned the Premier League title race into his personal clean sheet collection, shutting down counter-attacks before they were even counter-attacks. Calm, precise, and always a step ahead, he's the kind of keeper who can smother a striker's confidence without even touching the ball. Interestingly, Courtois made the shortlist on reputation alone after spending most of the season recovering from an ACL tear. But when he did return, those late-season flashes reminded everyone why he's been one of the game's best. Yassine Bounou, now at Al Hilal, turned the Club World Cup into his own penalty-saving exhibition and kept racking up clean sheets in the Saudi Pro League. Jan Sommer was Inter's steady hand, guiding them all the way to a Champions League final with the kind of safe, no-drama goalkeeping coaches love. And then there's Matt Sells, the surprise name in the mix, pulling off acrobatics to keep Nottingham Forest alive in the Premier League. Martinez had his Copa America heroics. Jan Oblak kept La Liga strikers frustrated, but this year's Yashin fight feels like it lives in two cities, Paris and Liverpool. And in the deciding round, Donnarumma lands the bigger punches. Treble winners tend to collect awards like souvenirs, and this one's no different. Gerd Mueller Trophy. This one's simple math. Who scored the most goals across club and country? But in 2025, the numbers came with a bit of drama. Kylian Mbappé landed in Madrid and immediately treated La Liga like a personal scoring clinic. 42 goals in all competitions, 31 of them in the league, plus the Pichichi and the European Golden Shoe. He was scoring from everywhere, counter-attacks, penalties, half chances that shouldn't have been chances. The only thing missing, a trophy to go with it. Mohamed Salah came closer to the perfect package. 34 goals, a Premier League Golden Boot, and the captain's role in dragging Liverpool back to the top of England. He was relentless, scoring in tight games, opening the floodgates in blowouts, and reminding everyone he's still one of the most efficient finishers in world football. Lewandowski had a strong claim with 27 La Liga goals and a domestic treble at Barcelona, while Erling Haaland and Harry Kane were their usual goal-hoarding selves. But none of them touched Mbappe's raw numbers. And here's the thing about the Gerd Mueller Trophy. It's the one award where team success barely matters. It's all about who filled the net most often, and in 2025, that's Mbappé for sure. Socrates Award. Now this one is about what players do when the cameras aren't pointed at the pitch. And in 2025, Megan Rapinoe closed out her career the same way she played it: loud, fearless, and impossible to ignore. Equal pay battles, LGBTQ+ advocacy, speaking out on social justice. She literally joined the conversation, dragged the microphone over, and made sure you heard her. Retirement didn't slow her down. If anything, it gave her more time to keep poking at the system. Marcus Rashford's name belongs in the same breath for what he's done in the UK. The school meal campaign that forced government action might have made headlines years ago, but Rashford hasn't treated it like a one-off victory lap. He's still out there funding reading programs, backing food banks, and showing up for communities that don't usually see Premier League stars unless they're on TV. Other players have done incredible work, from grassroots development to charity foundations. But this year, the spotlight falls on two very different legacies. Rashford is the long-haul campaigner, quietly stacking impact year after year. Rapinoe is the game-changing activist who turned her platform into a megaphone, reshaped the conversation, and walked away from the pitch with her boots in one hand and the cause in the other. If we're picking one, let's say Rapinoe. The award's about influence, and her exit year amplified her voice even louder. Rashford stays right there in second, because in football, there are goals, and then there's changing the game entirely. Johan Cruyff Trophy, men's coach. The men's coaching race in 2025 feels like a Champions League semi-final, stacked with names, each with a case you can't ignore. Luis Enrique walked into Paris Saint-Germain and delivered the season they'd been dreaming about for over a decade. League One, secured. French Cup, no problem. Champions League, finally. And he didn't stumble into it. PSG's football was ruthless, the press suffocating, the attack balanced so well it looked like it had been rehearsed for years. First European crown in club history, and Enrique's fingerprints were all over it. Hansi Flick's debut at Barcelona wasn't far off a fairy tale. A domestic treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Spanish Super Cup in your first year is the kind of thing that gets you a statue outside the stadium. The football was free-flowing, the young stars like Lamine Yamal flourished, and Barca looked dominant on home soil. Over at Chelsea, Enzo Maresca took a different path. He might not have been in the league title conversation, but he walked away with the UEFA Conference League and the FIFA Club World Cup. For a team that's been stuck in rebuild mode for what feels like forever, those two trophies were proof Maresca could win while laying the groundwork for something bigger. Arne Slot's Premier League win with Liverpool also deserves a nod. Replacing Klopp was supposed to be a poisoned chalice, yet he kept Liverpool aggressive, hungry, and back on top in England. But history matters in this award, and Enrique's season rewrote PSG's history books. Flick was flawless in Spain, Slot conquered England, but Enrique ended a decades-long obsession in Paris and made it look calculated, not lucky, so he surely deserves to get the award. Women's Ballon d'Or. Some years, the Ballon d'Or race feels like a marathon. This year, it's a sprint to the finish between two Arsenal teammates who spent the season collecting trophies like they were running a clearance sale. Scored in big knockout games, terrorized fullbacks for fun, and then capped it off with the calmest penalty of her life in the Euro 2025 final for England. The crowd was on edge, the pressure was suffocating, and she just rolled it in like it was training day. Then there's Alessia Russo. While Kelly thrived in the spotlight, Russo was the one dragging defenders through 90 minutes of misery week in, week out. Top scorer in the Women's Super League, relentless in front of goal, and a nightmare to mark in Europe. And let's not forget Bon Marti. She had another elite season. Lucy Bronze stacked medals with Chelsea, but this year belongs to the Arsenal duo. And if we're handing out the crown, Kelly edges it. 2 massive finals, 2 massive performances, and enough nerve to turn pressure into points. Russo was lethal, but Kelly turned clutch into an art form. Men's Ballon d'Or. The men's Ballon d'Or in 2025 isn't short on superstar names. In fact, the shortlist looks like someone accidentally combined a FIFA Ultimate Team fantasy squad with real life. You've got Mohamed Salah leading Liverpool back to the Premier League summit with 34 goals and 23 assists in all competitions. Kylian Mbappé scoring 31 goals in his debut season at Real Madrid, picking up the Pichichi and European Golden Shoe like they were welcome gifts. Yamal, still only 17, running Barcelona's attack with the composure of a seasoned pro. And of course, Ousmane Dembélé, the man at the heart of Paris Saint-Germain's greatest season ever. Then we have Rafinha, who quietly had his most complete season yet at Barcelona, chipping in clutch goals and assists in matches where Xavi's side looked short of ideas. Achraf Hakimi, he was PSG's right-sided chaos engine, bombing forward, cutting inside, and still finding time to track back like a man possessed. and Vitinha, often overshadowed by bigger names, became PSG's midfield glue, pressing, dictating tempo, and popping up with key goals that swung tight games. Now, all those names are shiny, but when you start breaking it down, some cases fade fast. Mbappe's numbers are ridiculous, but Real Madrid finished the season without a single trophy. In Ballon d'Or politics, that's a tough sell. It's the difference between filling the stat sheet and actually winning the games that matter most. Salah had a phenomenal league campaign, but Liverpool didn't win a Europe trophy, and the Ballon d'Or tends to tilt toward players who conquered the continent. Yamal? Absolutely electric. 18 goals, 25 assists, and a domestic treble at Barcelona. But outside Spain, his season didn't have that defining knockout moment on the biggest European stage. Dembele though, this was his year. 35 goals, 16 assists, and the creative engine for a PSG side that finally won the Champions League. And not just scraped through, they ripped it away from everyone else, with Dembele involved in decisive moments right up to the final. Add the League One and French Cup titles, and you're talking about the clean sweep that voters love. He delivered trophies, highlight reels, and a storyline. The man once criticized for inconsistency becomes the symbol of PSG's greatest triumph. The top two might be Dembele and Lamine. Dembele at number 1, Yamal at number 2. Let's be honest, Yamal's time is coming, maybe as soon as next year, but this season belongs to the player who took PSG from perennial almost to undisputed champions of everything. Johan Cruyff Trophy, Women's Coach. As for the women's coach, Sarina Wiegman left her fingerprints all over the season. England rolled into Euro 2025 with a target on their back and still walked out champions for the second straight tournament. That's not luck, that's a coach who knows how to drag a squad through the pressure cooker without burning out the edges. Every game felt calculated, every substitution felt like it had been drawn up 6 months earlier, and by the time the final whistle blew against Spain, Wiegman had built something that looked less like a team and more like an institution. Renée Sligers went a different route. Arsenal's Champions League win wasn't just another piece of silverware, it was a break in the European hierarchy. Beating Barcelona in that final was the football equivalent of stealing the crown jewels and walking out the front door. Her Arsenal side played with aggression, fluency, and just enough chaos to keep opponents guessing. It wasn't just that they won, it was how much fun they seemed to have ripping through elite defenses. Sonia Bompastor's clean sweep in England was textbook, but this year's story feels bigger than domestic dominance. Wiegman takes the top spot for rewriting the history books with a repeat Euro triumph. Slegers slots in at number 2 for shaking the Champions League tree until the biggest branch finally fell. 2 different playbooks, same elite impact, and that's it. Now to you, what do you think? Which prediction do you think we got wrong? Comment down below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.